Hello and welcome to the 28 Minutes of Heaven we call the D1 College World Series Game 2 Finals Preview. I'm your host, Michael Patrick Rooney. Want to remind you, if you're still out here in Omaha, check out the Omaha Experience over in the Village. Air-conditioned store right across the street from the ballpark. You'll find EvoShield, Louisville Slugger, DeMarini, and Wilson products all under one roof. Limited edition gloves, gear, apparel, and more. It's available only during the College World Series. Those guys have been awesome, and this could potentially be the last day of the Omaha Experience for 2025. I am joined by Big Tex, KR, Sauce Piece, Joe Healy, Zebby Barrels, Aaron Fitt. Gentlemen, we are previewing Game 2, and Game 1 will be known as the run back of the J.C. Cloney game. Obviously, we all know that. I'm kidding, of course. But, Cade Anderson was brilliant. LSU wins 1-0. They are now one win away from winning a national championship. Joe, I'll start with you since you've already podcasted this morning. You're hot. Your arm is hot. Give us a take from yesterday.
I came away, in addition to the Anderson, I almost want to set the Anderson stuff aside because it's so obvious, that was the story. But beyond that, I go back to LSU's infield defense time and again here, where I think about Anderson fielding that bunt, getting the force out at third base, which is not just a good play by him. It's a good, intelligent play by Braswell to understand that situation and retreat to third base. I think a lot of third basemen kind of get caught just freezing in that moment. Braswell made another good play on a bunt later, moved to his left. Stephen Milam played shortstop well. It was just a really, really clean game by LSU. And when it's 1-0 like that, it had to be. And so as much as Anderson, I think that had as much to do with the 1-0 result as anything else.
We get it, Joe. You were right about Braswell having some moments.
I did cite
the Braswell moment.
Yeah, I did cite his offensive stats though, so it just
I did.
Numbers 1-25 now.
I did like that in the post game. Kevin Schnall, pointed that play out as a really difficult play with all your momentum going towards shortstop to be able to stop and kind of set your feet. But I think the other thing for me that stood out was Stephen Milam. It was a 1-0 game, so it really wasn't worth kind of writing about on the side as a sider. But, if you look at Milam, he was a guy that, he's been a premier defender all season long, and we've all kind of been waiting for his offense to come. And really in the postseason, he's been pretty productive. And out here, he's looked the lead defensively. He's had really good at-bats. And so, we always talk about these championship teams, and there's always, 1, 2, 3 guys that, out of nowhere just kind of step up in different ways. And he's kind of doing that out here in Omaha. He had a couple of hits last night and looked very comfortable in the box.
I appreciated Runes referencing the J.C. Cloney game. In case you don't know who the heck we're talking about, and that's a reasonable
Good trivia question.
It's a perfectly reasonable response, but J.C. Cloney threw a shutout to beat Coastal Carolina in the first game of the 2016 finals for Arizona. Left-hander, filled up the zone. It was a different time. Conditions, though, were similar. I believe it was a lot of wind in and just pitch to contact and throw strikes. Anderson did it a different way yesterday, even though the conditions were kind of similar. He didn't have great command for him. His most walks he's issued all year long, 5. Guy who does not walk a lot. He's got a 6% walk rate, I think. 30 walks and 100 and I don't know how many innings. A lot. 110. Hit a couple guys. He only hit 3 guys all year. He hit 2 yesterday. So that's 7 free bases there. But he only allowed 3 hits, and he got himself out of trouble with the strikeout. Coach Rooney, you mentioned that in your Rune Servations last night, which I encourage everyone. Listen, a lot of great coverage on the site. All 4 of us wrote yesterday. Really getting after this thing. But I thought that was an important point that you wrote, Coach Runes, was that that was the kind of the equalizer. In addition to LSU's defense, as my esteemed colleagues have mentioned, is the strikeout. He got out of trouble, especially early in the game, a couple times with big strikeouts, doubling up on the changeup in the first inning to get a K. And then it's just here's curveball for strikeout, here's slider for strikeout. Here's I think it was a fastball for a strikeout in a key spot in the 3rd or 4th. There were. It showed his whole arsenal. And that's just how good this freaking guy is that even when he's not at his best, not really even that close to his best, he's just still always got something in his back pocket that he can just get you out with and get himself out of trouble. And it's so impressive. And again, he downplayed it and said, oh, it wasn't pretty, but I got the job done. Well, I guess, it's a 3-hit shutout in the College World Series finals, but Oh, ho hum. I mean, you got it done, bud. It was. I mean, that's just how good this guy is. It was crazy.
Yeah, it was. I mean, and there's so many story. It's funny. It was a 1-0 game. It felt like a lot of storylines to me. Like maybe more programmatic storylines than I was struck by. Kate Anderson. It's hard to get past that's a Louisiana kid who's basically telling Jay Johnson, "Don't even think about my pitch count. Like I'm doing this. Like this. I wanted to be an LSU baseball player." Since I was 6 years old. Like we're doing this, and like you said, Fitzy, he was. Coastal had plenty of traffic. Like part one of their formula was working. They just couldn't capitalize. And he always had a punch out in his back pocket. That was incredible. I'm struck at, like we talk a lot about the West. This has been a renaissance for West Coast baseball in this Omaha. You think about 3 Pac-12 teams. I think I can make a case that the best players on the field for LSU are West Coast kids. Like Derek Curiel is a great player. Like he's a freshman, but battling back from that 0-2 walk and the base running play. I think too many people are talking about Ty Dooley's choice to go across the diamond, and not enough people are talking about Derek Curiel's base running, aggressive base running that made that a difficult choice for Ty Dooley. And like you said, KR, Stephen Milam was the best player on the field for me last night. Like offensively, defensively, I pointed this out in my Runes Reservations, but like Fluky blew his doors in with the first 2 fastballs in that bat, 96 to 98 and no chance. And then literally the third fastball is a linea that spins Fluky's cap. Like I don't think that many hitters can do that. I think most hitters, maybe in a bat later in the game, you catch up to that heater, but not the very next pitch.
Yeah, and he almost hit a home run against the wind. Yeah. So pretty impressive.
I totally agree on all counts. Backtracking a second to Dooley, because I mean, you've said this a few times that all these people are talking about this decision to go to first in the first inning. We weren't watching the broadcast, so maybe they talked about it in the broadcast, but I haven't heard anyone talking about it. Like, it's a play the first inning of the game. It was not an obvious double play ball. I mean, the first inning, you take the easy out if it's in question. I think it was I don't know. It didn't seem like it was controversial at all. It was not, in my mind, anything like the Aloy play, where you only need 2 outs to end the game, and the lead runners are relevant. Yeah. It was just, I don't see, I think, and you mentioned it in your piece, Runes. I think you're with us. Like it's not, there's nothing wrong with the choice that he made. And it certainly in the first inning, that didn't determine the game. There was a lot of baseball to be played after that.
Yep. If there's no Aloy play this week, then that's not even a discussion. I believe that in my heart of hearts. It's just, it's top of mind and all those types of things. I called this out of my Runes Reservations. I don't want to like orate my Runes Reservations, but this is the home plate umpire, Brian DeBrouwer, was freaking awesome. And I was so concerned about that. I was concerned that there'd be no runs, and so that balls and strikes were going to be like the difference in the game. I was super concerned about hit by pitch, if you're Jay Johnson, I'm not saying this in an accusatory manner. If you're Jay Johnson, you're wearing the umpires out about hit by pitch before the game, during the game. Like you want that super top of mind. And so I didn't want that to become an obsession. And the irony was that LSU is the one that had the air quotes controversial hit by pitch with Danny Dickinson. But anyway, that was it was a well officiated game. Like just bravo, really freaking great. Boys, let's talk about today's game. Game 2, we will have Jacob Morrison versus Anthony Ianson. Let's get a thought from each of you guys. Fitzy, why don't you take it first? What jumps out at you about this matchup?
I mean, once again, I don't want to spoil anything, guys, but for the second day in a row, it's going to be a matchup between 2 All-American pitchers. I mean, how cool is that in the finals? 2 days in a row. I just spoiled it. I'm sorry. Listen, I mean, it's just like these are elite dudes. These are elite dudes. Mark S. Oh,
Mark S. spitting fire in the chat.
That's well played.
Welcome to Selection Day, Mark.
I'd love to pick UVA, but they're not here. You have to applaud my commitment to that bit though, all the way until the bitter end. I was committed.
It would be you know what? It would be impressive if UVA was here with Chris Pollard.
Yeah,
right now.
It's a great pitching matchup, and that's the highlight. And again, you've got kind of like both these guys. Obviously, Morrison has lots of strikeouts too, but it feels like Ianson is more of like the traditional strikeout pitcher, whereas Morrison is more of the fill it up and get weak contact pitcher, which again feels like in this ballpark is a with the wind howling in like we expect it to do again, is a winning formula. But I mean, it's not like Einstein walks a ton of guys either. I mean, if you're a strikeout guy who is in the zone, then I think that's also a winning formula here. So I don't know. I mean, that's the story. I picked the easy one, the two starting pitchers. There's a lot more to talk about though. What do you guys got?
Go ahead, Kendall. What jumps out for you?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for me is, Anthony Ianson, just kind of going back to his starts. I've seen him twice in person this year, and he has not had a bad start since Auburn. That was what, the first or second week of April. It gives you an idea of just how consistent he's been. The thing about him is, he loves these big moments. I saw his start against Texas A&M in College Station, to where he threw I think it was a complete game shutout, or it was either a shutout or like one run. But the stuff was just electric that night. The splitty was awesome. The fastball was up to like 96, which is, late in the game, which is kind of interesting for him because he tends to be a little bit more like 92, 94 late. But I mean, he was up to 96 that day. But I love his big game persona. Like, Eddie Kelly, one of our esteemed photographer, he took a picture of Ianson when he threw that complete game against A&M, where, that place gets pretty loud, and, he's over there like this, going off the field. Like, he just loves those big moments. So just for me, just watching Anthony Ianson in this situation will be pretty cool.
Go ahead, Sauce.
For me, it's, and I don't think this will be in question, but for me, it's, if you're Coastal, you kind of offensively, I think you did a lot of good. You did what you were trying to do yesterday. LSU just counterattacked it better, right? Like the bunt we're talking about that was a forced play on the attempted sacrifice was a good bunt. Like they just played it better. They hit the ball hard, a decent, as much as you can expect to hit the ball hard against Cade Anderson. LSU just made a bunch of plays. Like, so Coastal's, I think for Coastal's offense, it's don't do anything different than what you did yesterday. And if Ianson ends up being too good again, well, that's baseball, right? But I thought they executed the inside game fairly well. Okay, you had a guy slide past a bag, and LSU made some plays on bunts. Like that's just gonna kind of happen. But I don't think they need to be anything different than what they were yesterday, because I thought they made the right decisions. They did the right things. It was just kind of a baseball thing where you tip your cap to a team and a guy that was just better. But that's going to be how they play good winning offensive baseball in this thing. They're not going to standing up there and just swinging is not going to be the answer.
Yeah, I'm with you, Joe. Like that's my top of mind thought there is like if you're Coastal, you can't get mental about you didn't capitalize on all the traffic you created. I mean, they had base runners in 8 of 9 innings. That Cade Anderson, as I wrote, like the strikeout was just like he just terminated innings with strikeouts over and over again. And I was critical of Caden Bodine on the bunt play because I thought it was a beautiful bunt by Barthel. Right? It's like how are you not at third? But you look up and Stephen Milam was sitting on second base. Like LSU had done a really nice job accounting for the bunt. But, I think if you're Coastal, you did have a leadoff double that didn't score. You had first and second, nobody out, didn't score. You can't get mental about that. You got to just keep creating those scenarios. I do think if you're Coastal, you need to capitalize. I don't think Luis Hernandez is a great catcher. I think that pass ball and wild pitcher and play, I don't think he's a great thrower. I think he's more of a hitter than a defensive catcher at this point, right? I mean, we all know he didn't catch at Indiana State. He DH'd and played first base. I think LSU's done a great job bringing him along. But I would try to pressure him if I was Coastal. I want to say one other thing, boys, as we reflect on this. This has been a renaissance series for Nate Yeskie. I think you tweeted it, Kendall. But, man, Cade Anderson threw 38 innings last year. Like, to go from, 38 innings to best pitcher in the country, it's a pretty big jump. And, I'm looking at Anthony Ianson. He was a nice pitcher at UC San Diego. I'm 100% certain he wasn't the Big West pitcher of the year, right? And now, these two are monsters. And, Case and Evans, and you guys have all mentioned, Chase Shores could have been just absolutely done for the season a month ago. And they have just kept him alive. And so, anyway, good on you, Nate Yeskie. I thought he's done an awesome job with these pitchers.
Well said.
Boys, let's do a player to watch for today, and then we will we can adjourn. We'll do our picks too, of course. Fitzy, who's a player that's top of mind for you?
Guys, I'm going to go with Sebastian Alexander. He extended his hitting streak to 8 games yesterday. He's hitting like 424 during that stretch with 4 doubles, a home run, and 6 RBIs, according to our man Pat James, #PatStat. He's kind of that guy in the regional. Felt like he kept getting big hits, and he just kind of had a knack, for the moment. He's kind of like, Mark S references Luis Hernandez is in the lineup to sling line drives to left field and bottom 9. I feel like Alexander's kind of Coastal's version of that. He's just like, he's kind of their Mr. Clutch. And I feel like he's going to have something to do with the outcome today.
Joe.
Give me actually, I have 2 things. One is we have a great question from, I don't know who this is, but Jake Mintz.
Mintz.
Yeah. Do you guys expect the Chants to lose 26 in a row? Thanks. I'll hang up and listen. And the answer is probably.
Yeah.
That's the only logical way for that to go.
Many are saying.
That's right. We'll have to wait and see, though. It's a good question. I'm glad it's a good discussion. I'm glad we're having it, is what I'm saying. Player. Give me Jared Jones, just because it seems like every time he has a disaster game like what he had yesterday, like there's a big moment coming around the corner. Like the guy he's still not a complete hitter, still has holes in his swing. When he hits a ground ball in the infield with the runner on, it's a double play like it was yesterday. But it just does always seem like right around the corner, what he does is he never has that situation where it's just it compounds on him. So for me, I think there'll be an opportunity today when he gets a pitch to hit, and I think he's going to come up in a big spot and get that hit. He doesn't seem to compound those games back to back when he has a situation like that.
Should we write another Jared Jones redemption story for the second time in 3 days? If that happens,
that's right. But it was, guy came up 4 times and made 5 outs yesterday.
Yes.
Like it was a tough scene for Jared Jones.
Go ahead, KR.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Colby Thorndike. He's a guy that we talked about extensively yesterday, the preview show. He was hitting 313 going into the game. He had been very productive in Omaha last night, guys. 0 for 4 with 2 strikeouts. I just think for Coastal, if they're going to put together some, wouldn't even say big innings with this win, but I think they're going to put together, some innings with a run or two, like he's going to have a productive game. So for me, Thorndike, who had been kind of a pain for opposing, pitching coaches the first 3 games in Omaha, very quiet last night. So he's a key for me.
And I think he leads, if I'm not mistaken, all College World Series players in runs batted in. He's been kind of that guy that's, again, been Mr. 8 RBI so far in Omaha. That doesn't lead the field.
Awesome. Hey, before I'm going to give you guys 2 humans on either side. But I want to mention something that may be more of an off-season topic, but maybe we can discuss it for a second today. I think it's in all sports, but in college baseball, we come up with these ultimatums, these axioms, like you have to do X if you're going to win the national title. Mm-hmm. And I always think it's really fun to reflect at this time of the year on how the axioms are just false narratives so often. And, you've got to hit 180 home runs if you're going to compete for a national title. And you got to hit a ball 3 times to hit a home run today. And, you got to have power arms to compete in the SEC. And Tennessee has an all-time great team, like one of the greatest teams in college baseball history, with Chris Stamos as an opener on Fridays, and then Xander Seacrest slinging it in there for the national title. And then, Michael Braswell is that story, and I don't want to beat a dead horse here, but I'm so happy for that kid. I think about the fortitude it has to play through this season, and there's no question in my mind they don't win that game without him yesterday. And this dude is going to hit 185 and be the starting third baseman potentially on a national championship team. If you had told someone that in the preseason, they would have laughed you out of the building. That you can't even go to Omaha with that as one of your corner players. But anyway, any thoughts there? Any axioms that you guys want to share with us that are have tos for Kendall's bike ride? Even,
yeah. I mean, you have to play key defense is one that we always clean defense in Omaha is one that we always hear about, and I still think that largely holds true. I think there are exceptions here that you can occasionally win a game when you bungle some stuff, if the other team bungles some stuff more. But generally speaking, especially in these conditions, I do think being airtight matters. But we've got 2 teams here that I think both fielded 980 plus in the regular two defensive teams. So I mean, I think that axiom holds up okay, right? I mean, and you're just talking about Braswell and Milam and all the defense for LSU, and Kevin Schnall made a point of complimenting LSU for their defensive excellence all year long. Yesterday, I mean, there's a reason these teams are here. They are rock solid.
Yeah. Although Billy Amick last year, like that was that got me thinking that maybe defense doesn't matter, and because he was so good offensively, it's like it works. Joe? What's your expression? It works until it doesn't work. Something like
That's
that.
Right. That's right.
Yeah.
And the opposite is true. Something doesn't work until it does. But yeah, the defense thing is like, as long as the person doesn't make a critical error, at a key time, like you can work around it. So
yeah.
My thing, Runes, is that I think you have to take the freebies offensively, like standing still and swinging the bat and trying to be aggressive. Like I understand there's a time and a place for, hey, we're going to attack the first fastball we see in the zone, like that kind of stuff. But like as a strategy, just standing still and swinging is like not, especially here, that does not, we've learned time and again, that's not going to work. Like you got to take your freebies here. And both teams do a good job of that, especially Coastal. Like they basically have giant like targets on their backs. They're just daring pitchers to throw it inside.
By the way, Joe, I want to launch an official investigation. If you're listening to this as a podcast, we have a commenter here, Mark S., who is we have been suspicious that he is a college baseball expert who's posing as just like a general commenter. And I quote, "Don't fake fights between Ike Davis and Brett Wallace." That is very true. That's a bad strategy. Although one fake fight did work in the 90s, but that's a story for a different day. But Mark S., your command of college baseball, you are an expert, sir, and you have been found out. I cannot wait to learn more about your real identity. Joe?
We should have Mark S. on the podcast and just like mangle his voice like on the local news,
yes.
Just so he can.
I'm gonna laugh when that is Pyle Keterson.
Yes, and it'll just be the avatar, Joe. It'll just be like the egg. So
that's right.
Boys,
it would be hilarious if KP just gets on here and trolls our podcast the whole time on there.
It would be so great. Mark is in. Mark S is down.
Boys, we have nothing but time. I want to hear about the other fake fight.
We need that. That's for an adult beverage at an establishment. That's for the Hilton Bar. I need more than 6 minutes for that story. It's a great story.
Have one real topic here, Runes, before we get out. The great Pat James has alerted us that we ought to talk about like what's the use case for LSU with Case and Evans today.
Oh, that's one of my players.
Oh, okay. All right. Go ahead, please.
All right, go ahead, Runes.
Yeah. So one of my two key humans in this game is Jay Johnson. And when does he decide to deploy? He's going to have inflection points in this game where do I make this the Case and Evans game, or do I have to think about him as my game 3 starter? Now, Zach Cullen's start against UCLA, maybe that eases the pressure of that because you feel like you could deploy him in a unique way. But I think Case and Evans is the bullet. And I'm that kid is, what a freshman. It's a big fastball, it's a hellacious breaking ball, and it's a even better changeup. And so I think if you're Jay Johnson, and this is important for Coastal, like you can't let LSU have a lead by the 5th inning, or else you're going to have to defeat Case and Evans. Like that's the essence of this game right here. But hey, the flip side is true too. What if Jay deploys Case and Evans and doesn't win the game, and now Coastal has big momentum going into game 3? But I'm with all you guys. I think Case and Evans is he's going to be looming from like inning 4 on in this game.
And that's why Anderson going the distance yesterday was big because they didn't have to use Evans at all. And B, I totally agree with you about him being kind of the factor here, because like you said, if they do use him today and he's burned for tomorrow, which I don't know they necessarily, like, depending how much they used him, I suspect he could pitch 2 days in a row. But Cowan would be on 4 days rest, and then you start getting into some more dicey options in the bullpen after that. Whereas Coastal, as we've talked about, does have the advantage when it comes to pitching depth and guys that they can really trust. They used the Godfather last night, Dominic Carbone for 3 innings. And so maybe, we won't see him today, but that's fine. They got, Ryan Lynch, and they got Hayden Johnson, they got Potok, and they're fine. And if it goes to Monday, I mean, they've got Riley Eichhoff ready to go. And I guess it's the same rest as Cowan, right? They both pitched on Wednesday. So, I think it's still advantage Coastal. But anyway, we're getting ahead of ourselves. But I do think like this is the real golden chance here for LSU. Like we've said all year long, the ticket is Anderson, Ianson. And so like with Evans as kind of the guy right behind him. So I think this is the day that I think they kind of need to get it done. Go ahead, Runes. I think you had another player to talk about.
Oh yeah, I just my final thought there is Caden Bodine. Like when I think about Coastal, no matter how good you are, no matter how confident you are, when they went down to Auburn for that super regional, that's intimidating. It's an SEC environment against a top 8 national seed, and in game 1 of that series, Caden Bodine homered twice, and he homered early in that game, and it felt like that just gave Coastal oxygen to settle into the game. And I think I'm not saying they need Caden Bodine to go yard or anything like that, but he will hit left-handed today instead of right-handed. I presume that he's better left-handed. I don't know that, but most switch hitters are because of the reps. And he was on base twice yesterday because those hit by pitches, but that really wasn't his doing necessarily. Like he just got hit. But I think Coastal, because they may feel a little pressure today because they didn't drive anybody in yesterday. I think they need quality ABs by Bodine. I think Bodine, and I think it's beautiful that he leads off. I think he's a really important figure to just let everybody in the Coastal dugout breathe because he is clearly their alpha. There's no question about that.
Yep.
All right, boys.
Are we going to do for this game or not?
Yeah, let's do it. Fitzy, what do you got?
Now, why don't you guys let somebody else lead off?
I'll jump in. I just I'm going LSU today. I think it's 2 and done. I think it's going to be another close game. I think it's just destined to be another one of these types of maybe not 1-0, but something like it. And Ianson has just pitched so well. Morrison has too, but Ianson has just pitched so well. And I think if he pitches at something close to his potential, I just don't know that there's an answer with how well he's pitched. So I'm going with the Tigers today.
Kendall.
Yeah, I'm going with LSU as well. Pretty much what Joe said. I'm a big believer in Anthony Ianson.
I'm going LSU because I have committed to myself not to pick against the SEC until proven otherwise. That league is on a heater, and I'm not going to try to buck that streak. What say you, Fitzy?
So I know I just said it's important for LSU to get it done today. Anderson, Ianson, etc. I picked LSU to win it all. I'm standing by that. But I'm gonna implement rule number 2 here. Rule number 1 is don't bet against Kate Anderson. Rule number 2 is going to be don't bet against Jacob Morrison.
Ooh.
He lost all year. He's 12-0. He's a perfect fit for this ballpark. I liked Coastal's vibe yesterday. They didn't seem, like a team that was beaten down at all. Of course, they played a solid enough game, and they got beat by a great pitcher. It's not like it was some heartbreaking, crushing loss where they made some critical mistake late in the game, and it feels like there's gonna be no hangover from this loss. On the one hand, I leaned to Joe last night in the press conference, do you think is there a chance that now that this 26 game winning streak over, the spell is broken? And we both kind of looked at each other no, not really. It doesn't really feel like that. It feels like it's all right. Next game, and so Morrison, I just think he's gonna do something special today, which it's not that hard to do in these conditions. Everyone could do something special. To see Cloney come at JC, no offense, Mr. Cloney, but it does feel like this ballpark and this win kind of devalued the 3-hit shutout in Omaha a little bit, right? It's anybody can do that really, when it's like this. But Morrison, again, it's over his last, gosh, I've got a patch stat for you. I got to use this one. Over his last 9 starts dating back to April 7th, this guy has a 1.75 ERA and 56 innings. 53 walks, 11 strikeouts. He goes at least 6 innings and 7 starts in that span. He's just Mr. Automatic. So cue it up. We're going to have a Monday game. We hope we get it in with the weather. And we'll talk about that one tomorrow.
Real quick, I would say I was actually going to bring up that post-game moment between you and I, Aaron, and relatedly that I posed the thought experiment of, is it possible that and Kevin Schnall kind of alluded to this, I felt like, without saying it, he's like, let's call it what it is. It was going to be extremely difficult for us to win 28 in a row and just win this national title. I do wonder if there was something about that game 1 where if Coastal wins it, they would have felt like it's found money. But the fact that they lost it, they're like, well, it was Kate Anderson. What were we going to do? Yeah. And that maybe it was always hey, you know what? Like that game is a bonus, but these are the 2 games that we've got to win right here. And again, they have to go do it. But I do wonder if mentally anyway, that last night's loss, to Aaron's point, was not necessarily a crushing blow and is more just like, yeah, we kind of thought that might be the case. And then you move on.
Joe, did you feel that way about your gamers? Like the game 1 story was just you're just gonna have to compete through it, but your game 2 and game 3 stories were gonna be where you're gonna win your title.
Exactly, Runes. You're right on it.
Because you did have a 26 game winning streak with your stories. I thought
I did, and thank you for acknowledging that. First off, yeah, but the reality is I wasn't going to go 28-0 on my stories through the national title. It just wasn't going to happen. So we move on. We got to bounce back.
Fitzy, did you have something there?
Yeah, no, I was just going to compliment Joe on having a good run.
Epic run.
Thank you.
Boys, may your stories, may your the vocab just be right at your fingertips that you want. May your sentence structure be sound. Everyone else, enjoy the game. Enjoy game 2 of the national title series here. And that is it. We may or may not see you tomorrow for a preview. If we don't, then we will be podcasting with obviously a look back on what has happened. But that's it. Yeah, enjoy the games, and we'll catch you next time on the D1 Baseball Podcast.